and he has started his work. And then we also saw that he was tried to be driven out of Champaran by the British authorities, but they were unable to do so because he had large support of people who had assembled there to welcome him, and had also gone there as soon as they realized that Gandhi is in trouble and he has been called to the court. He's been summoned to the court, and Gandhi also took this opportunity of taking that advantage of the situation and pressurizing the British into giving the judgment on that particular day. And then when they could not do that, so they delayed the judgment for a unlimited amount of time, and then eventually the case was also dropped against Gandhi. So that was Gandhi's way of fighting and doing things. So let's start the chapter from the top once again. We'll go through it briefly, very very fast, and then we'll continue from where we had left. So here we have Fisher introducing his visit to his ashram, and the first time he met Gandhi was in 1942, and Gandhi then told him about his thoughts of how and when he decided that it was time for the British to leave India. And it was in 1917, and it was in 1917 that Champaran happened, and it was only because of the effect that Champaran had on Gandhi that he decided that he will make the British leave India. Gandhi had gone to a conference, Lucknow Indian National Congress party meeting in Lucknow in the December of 1916, and there were about 2,301 delegates. So there he met a poor yeoman sharecropper called Rajkumar Shukla, who was from Champaran. He had gone there to call Gandhi to Champaran to solve the problems of the sharecroppers. So Rajkumar Shukla was an illiterate man, but he was resolute. Okay, he was very stubborn. He was determined to take Gandhi with him. Wherever Gandhi went, he went after him, and he just wanted to ask him to, and he was begging him to come to Champaran. Then Gandhi returned to his ashram in Ahmedabad. Shukla followed him there. Then for weeks later, he never left Gandhi's side. And Gandhi was very very impressed by the sharecroppers' determination. Okay, and he said, okay, I have to be in Calcutta on such and such date, come and take me from there, right? Then months passed, and Shukla was sitting there at the spot where he had said Gandhi will come in Calcutta, and Gandhi did come. And then from there he went on to Bihar. Rajkumar Shukla took him to Bihar. First, they went to a house of a lawyer, very prominent lawyer, who was called Rajendra Prasad, who was also the president of the Congress Party, who later became the president of the Congress Party and also of India. So Rajendra Prasad was not there on that particular day in his house. So Gandhi and Rajkumar Shukla decided to chill out on the outside ground, and since Gandhi was also dressed in a way, very simple dhoti and kurta, probably not even kurta maybe. Since he was dressed in such a way, and he was with Rajkumar Shukla, the servants of the house of Rajendra Prasad thought that he is just another guy, and they did not even allow him to take water from the well, because they suspected him to be an untouchable, and if he did do that, then all the water of the well will be polluted. Gandhi decided to go first to Muzaffarpur, which was en route Champaran, and he wanted to get more and more information about things that are happening in Champaran, right? Because he was a lawyer, he could deduce some legal measures as to why things are happening and what sort of atrocities are being dealt upon the sharecroppers, the farmers. Obviously, Rajkumar Shukla had definitely briefed him about the case, but then he was not able to tell him about the technicalities of the case. So he telegrammed a professor of J.B. Kripalani of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur, and the train arrived at midnight. J.B. Kripalani was there with him to receive him on the station, and then there he stayed at Professor Malkani's place. Okay, he was a teacher in government school, and Gandhi was very impressed by Professor Malkani because he allowed him to stay there, and it was a very brave decision because the British were against everyone who were supporting these people who were advocates of home rule. Now, the news of Gandhi's advent and the nature of his mission was spreading quickly, because everybody knew that there is some sort of a savior. Everybody had heard of Gandhi and they wanted him to come. And since the news was spreading that he is around, so they were getting to know that okay, something is going to change, something is happening. Then sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by conveyance to see their champion, right? Because they were so fed up. They were so fed up of the British and the atrocities that they were uh, dealing them. Muzaffarpur lawyers were called on Gandhi to brief him. Now, obviously, because it was a legal case, it was legal. There were legal proceedings involved in the case. So there were lawyers in Muzaffarpur who came to brief Gandhi about the situation, and then they told him that of course we are fighting for the sharecroppers, but we are also charging them a lot of fee. So Gandhi was not happy about the fact that they were charging him a lot of fee, charging the sharecroppers, poor farmers, a lot of fee. So Gandhi chided them, and he said that I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to law courts. Taking such cases to courts does little good, where the peasants are so crushed and fear stricken. Law courts are useless. The real relief for them is to be free from fear. So Gandhi was of the opinion that we need to take the fear of these peasants out of them. Such law courts and these things, they're very scared of them. They don't know the technicalities of any of these. The first thing that we need to do is take the fear out of them, and then we can probably move on to other things. Now, what is the problem in Champaran that is described here? We've already discussed that most of the land was owned by the British, and there were Indian tenants working on those lands. They were duty bound to grow on at least 15% of their land a commercial crop called indigo, right? And all the indigo production was to be surrendered to the British as rent. Now what happened is, then in Germany there was a synthetic dye that has been invented, and the British did not any longer need the production of indigo or the indigo crops. So they very slyly, very cleverly said that if you want to get out from this agreement, you can give us a certain amount of money and you can easily be released from this bond. So some of them did pay, because this sharecropping agreement was very irksome to them. It was very disturbing. Okay, the peasant did not like it, so they willingly signed. And some of them resisted, and some of them engaged lawyers. So the landlords hired thugs for these people to scare them. So meanwhile, the information reached them as well that there is a synthetic dye, and it's not because these people are so kind to let us go. It's only because there is a synthetic dye that has been in the market, and that is why these people no longer need this indigo. So they protested that we want our money back, and you people are duped us. So at this point, Gandhi arrived in Champaran. So first he wanted facts from officials, that what is the deal here, what is going on. So first he went to the secretary of the British Landlords Association. Okay, they said that we cannot give you information because you are an outsider, you're not from the district. So he said, I am not an outsider, don't call me an outsider. Usko बुरा लग गया था, ego पे लग गई थी उसके बाद. So Gandhi called on the British official commissioner of Tirhut division, and in which Champaran which was a part of Champaran. Which Champaran was a part of. And the commissioner said, he proceeded to bully me and advised me forthwith to leave Tirhut. The commissioner directly gave him warnings to leave Tirhut division, and go and do other things. Don't be here. Gandhi did not leave, obviously. He instead proceeded to Motihari, the capital of Champaran district. So several lawyers also accompanied him, and the railway station, a vast multitude greeted Gandhi. This is what was the scene of the railway station. So as we saw that there was a lot of crowd which is there to greet Gandhi, and Gandhi He went into a house and using it as its headquarter, continued the investigations. A report came that a peasant had been maltreated in nearby village. So let's see that as well. See, this is he is talking to this peasant who has been maltreated, and the Gandhi decided to go and see. The next morning, he started out on a back of an elephant. He had proceeded. He had not proceeded far when the police representatives came. Okay, let's go there. Okay, that is I think behind. Yeah, here. So he started out on an elephant, and Gandhi is going, and here comes the messenger, British messenger. मुझे कोई अफसोस नहीं है कि हम गिरफ्तार किए जाते हैं, राइट. So exactly जैसा मूवी में दिखाया, obviously it is not exactly as that has happened, but somewhere similar. Okay, here we have more details, but the matter of the fact is that Gandhi was not allowed to go further, and he was asked to leave this district. So he had not proceeded far when the police superintendent's messenger overtook him and ordered him to return to town. Gandhi complied, and the messenger drove Gandhi home, where he served him with an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. Right? Gandhi signed a receipt and to the notice, which was given by the messenger, and he said that I will disobey your order. In consequence, Gandhi received a summon to appear in the court next day. Let's go to the court proceedings. So here is the court proceeding. You see, Gandhi had given a lot of telegrams the day before his